How do you return to a format that you basically helped popularize that has completely changed the last time you tried to create within its limitations? More importantly, how do you return to an older thing when the modern, most perfected version of that thing exists and is easily digestible and arguably more accessible and better than ever? Should we let the past die or try and raise it up as an example for the future? No, I'm not talking about creating YouTube content in a world where the digital media landscape is constantly shifting and changing. And no, I promise you that I'm not having my 5th existential crisis of the year. I'm talking about New Super Mario Bros., a 2006 Nintendo DS game. This game was marketed as a return to form for Mario games, a 2D platformer starring Nintendo's most famous plumber after more than a decade without really seeing a proper 2D Mario platformer. This underrated title is the reason why I bought a Nintendo DS and remains one of Nintendo's most interesting experiments in the world of 2D Mario games.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to an all-new episode of The Completionist, where we don't just beat the games, we complete them. I've completed over 400 games, and making introductions for a video about Mario always feels a little bit weird, right? Like, I mean, come on, it's Mario. You know him, the Jumpman himself. But no, my friends. This is New Super Mario Bros. Totally different from Mario games that have come before. In this Mario game, you try and rescue Princess Peach from Bowser and friends, and collecting power-ups and coins and... Yeah, alright, so maybe it's not so different from the other Mario games, but hey, what's old is new, and what was new in 2006 is now old. You follow me? You got all that? Good. Let's complete.
Yes! All glory goes to the winner! Game over! Wake up! Last one standing wins! KO!
Oh, and speaking of which, hello again. It's been a few weeks, hasn't it? I'm Alex Fossiani, head of Patreon here at The Completionist, speaking through Gerard's mouth. Sorry I've been away. I was stuck living in a board game with someone else's kids. It was nuts. Anyways, totally unrelated, but I wanted to take this opportunity to announce that for this month's completion bonus, we are hosting a movie night on the Completionist Discord. We'll be having a watch party for Robin Williams' 1995 family adventure classic, Jumanji, at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, August 31st. I haven't seen it, but I'm hoping it'll be a nice break from all of that living board game stuff. Isn't that great? Here's to hoping. So, to join the fun, sign up at patreon.com/thecompletionist. And remember, it's always just $5, and we do some pretty awesome stuff there. Also, I'm deathly afraid of monkeys, so I hope the movie doesn't have any monkeys. Anyways, back to New Super Mario Bros. Regular Gerard. Take it away.
All right, today we're gonna go a little weird. Bear with me. So there's a play, a very famous play called The Sequel by Anton Chekhov. One of the characters, a dude named Constantine, is a writer. He's writing a play, but not just any play, a whole new type of play. He is constantly talking about creating new forms. We need new forms! Like every scene he's in, he's talking about new forms. But when it comes to 2D Mario games, Nintendo nailed the form pretty early on. Aside from a new few tweaks like Yoshi, why mess with perfection? Up until the release of New Super Mario Bros., it had been over 13 years since a new 2D focused Mario game had taken stage. The last 2D Mario game before this one was Super Mario Land 2: 6 Golden Coins, a 1992 handheld Mario title with a surprisingly kick-ass soundtrack and really great hats. If you grew up playing 2D Mario games, the gap between that game and New Super Mario Bros. Felt like a weirdly long drought. Then again, if Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo taught us anything, It's that 2D Mario basically crystallized in the 90s. It isn't shocking that Nintendo took a break from creating games like this, but it is unusual that their so-called return to form was on the DS and not on a home console. I wanted to revisit this particular Mario game because 1, click/retention rate, baby! And 2, I just wanted to see if this game had held up. I have been on a journey to complete every Mario game. Within reason. Get the hell out of here, Mario sports games for the Nintendo Switch. I've been on this journey for a long time now, and I wanted to go back to this era because it's a fascinating and experimental time in Nintendo's history. I feel like when people talk about the Mario franchise, New Super Mario Bros. Is barely mentioned, specifically for the DS. It could be because just about a year after New Super Mario Bros. Hit shelves, Super Mario Galaxy came to the Nintendo Wii. It is difficult to stand out when you're up against one of the greatest video games of all time. Even when returning to the genre, in this case 2D platforming, that you are responsible for inventing. Now look, I know, I'm a huge Nintendo guy. Have I said this enough on this channel? Have you gotten the vibe at any point? But believe it or not, I did not own a Nintendo DS before New Super Mario Bros. Came out. This was the game that got me hyped for the system. Once New Super Mario Bros. Released, I picked up the red and black DS Lite, which was my ride and die for years. Best color combo for the system by far, come at me. These days, I don't have that specific DS anymore because I was in college and broke and I needed the money. But fortunately, DS games are still fully backwards compatible on the Nintendo 3DS. So I slapped that little sucker into the nearest available 3DS I had, and I had myself a great time. When this game came out, I was incredibly intrigued by it. I essentially consider it to be Super Mario Bros. 5, and was extremely eager to see what was so new about New Super Mario Bros. And at the end of the day, it's a first-party Mario game, so there's a baseline level of quality that I was expecting. I find it interesting how Nintendo fans have reacted to the New Super Mario Bros. Series over the last several years. It seems the overall opinion has arced towards negativity, but the new series games that I've played have been enjoyable. Despite the confounding name, I really loved completing New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe for the Switch just a few years ago. But New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is pretty different from the original New Super Mario Bros. Game. Apologies for that very confusing sentence, but you can take it up with Nintendo and their weird naming conventions. New Super Mario Bros. Changed my expectations of how to complete a 2D Mario game. It keeps the core tenets of platforming. I still have to complete 8 worlds worth of levels, collecting power-ups and getting extra lives, eventually reaching the end flagpole and defeating bosses in castles. New Super Mario Bros. Also adds indicators to a player's profile that shows I've completed certain tasks. First up, you get a star for beating the game. Makes sense. Then you can earn another star on your profile by finding all the secret exits in the game and playing every single level, including the secret levels. And then there's the third star, which appears after finding all 3 star coins in every single stage and spending them all. Now, I set one more goal for myself, which was to experience every minigame at least once, because, yeah, New Super Mario Bros. Has a ton of minigames included. And a bunch of these minigames are from the Super Mario 64 DS port, which, if I recall, I did not really enjoy all that well. So we'll see if that's still the case here. This entire game really does feel like the 2006 version of a modern interpretation of what 2D Mario can look like, with new goals and, of course, a new art style and music. I haven't played this game since it came out 16 damn years ago. Whew! And honestly, I've forgotten pretty much everything about it as my memories of completing Mario games congeal in a Cronenberg-esque monstrosity of mechanics and art styles. Essentially, I'm looking at this one with brand new baby eyes. Here's hoping that Mario's first foray back into 2D isn't totally outpaced by its sequels.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Gfuel. What's Gfuel, you ask? Well, Gfuel's been sponsoring the channel for at least a couple years now. We love Gfuel, they love us, and you guys at home love Gfuel. Gfuel is a powder energy supplement that you put in your water and you shake it up. You can also use milk if you want to get a little bit crazy. There's a bunch of crazy mix videos online, and if the powder's not your thing, you can actually purchase pre-mixed things that are basically like almost like energy drinks or cans of soda that you can purchase at your local grocery store if you're in the United States of America. I don't know where, but they're out there. I see them all the time. So, if you want to support us, head over to gfuel.com today and use code Completionist on checkout. Again, that's gfuel.com, code Completionist on checkout. My car's getting towed, so I have to go. See you later.
The reason Mario is an icon, the reason we still love running and jumping and getting coins after all these years, is that pretty much every Mario title feels amazing to play. We have come to expect innovative gameplay that is satisfying and enjoyable when we see that red and blue outfit. In an interview from Nintendo Online Monthly in 2005, celebrating Mario's 20th anniversary, Shigeru Miyamoto said, "Mario provides an easy vessel for our ideas. When we use him, it's easy to come up with stuff. Just the sight of Mario gets those designer juices flowing." Even though Miyamoto was not a production lead for this new interpretation of the iconic character, New Super Mario Bros. Is bursting with vibrancy and ideas. The game may not completely shatter the mold of originality, but there is still an incredible amount of thought and care that went into bringing this new series to life. I often think of platformers, especially 2D ones, in terms of two things: level design and how the movement feels. New Super Mario Bros. Has things to say about both. This game has fascinating level design for the series' return to 2D Mario. Rather than focusing exclusively on momentum and making it through levels quickly and efficiently, New Super Mario Bros. Has a greater eye towards exploration. Even the way New Super Mario Bros. Handles secret exits is both an inversion of expectations and a satisfying return to form. Some secret levels are locked behind Mario having certain power-ups, which leads to the other side of the coin: how this game feels to play and how power-ups factor in. The power-ups we have in New Super Mario Bros. Are pretty rad. You have your gold Mario standards: the Super Mushroom, the Fire Flower, the Superstar, but then the newcomers come along: the Mini Mushroom and the Mega Mushroom, which make Mario teeny tiny and mega huge, respectively. Do you remember the way this game was advertised? That worked on me. A Mario so colossally large he could stomp through levels and kick warp pipes out of the way? This power-up freaking rules, man! It's clear that the devs had a blast making puzzles and challenges around the Mini and Mega Mushrooms. It's incredibly cute how the jump sound effect goes super high-pitched when Mario is tiny. And I love the itty-bitty pipes he goes down. And Giant Mario is, well, like the dream. Instead of jumping around and navigating complex challenges, the strategy becomes Mario Big, Mario Smash. The Mega Mushroom even made its way into Mario Kart Wii and the mobile game Mario Kart Tour. It's a fun and weird mechanic, and I'd love to see Nintendo continue to do more with it in the games to come. But the most unique power-up in New Super Mario Bros. Has to be the blue shell suit. This power-up puts Mario in a Koopa shell suit and lets him fully pull himself into the shell once he starts running, absolutely wrecking every enemy he spins into at the expense of not being able to change directions in the shell form. This suit invites players to experiment and play the game completely differently. I'm shocked that Nintendo has never brought back this suit. Not even anywhere else in the new series. You'd think that we'd have seen it again in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe or Wii or even New Super Mario Bros. 2, but I guess that budget was spent on lengthening the game's title. The presentation also affects gameplay here. New Super Mario Bros. Uses 3D character models in a 2D plane, in case it isn't obvious already, giving the developers freedom to do some unique things with perspective and depth. This game incorporates many moves from 3D Mario games to pretty amazing effect. The wall jump and wall slide from Super Mario 64 are both here, making for some incredible platforming challenges. The ground pound shows up here too, perfect for smashing blocks to reach coins or a pipe. Recontextualizing these skills in a 2D setting was a pretty brilliant move, even if we're all used to the new Super Mario Bros. Mechanics appearing in Super Mario Maker at this point. There's also the introduction of using the triple jump from Mario 64 in this game as well. This series also reintroduces some sliding mechanics, like being able to clear a string of enemies by sliding down a hill or sliding under short gaps after dashing. Mario can even pick up and throw shells and other objects, another returning staple. This game has the perfect blend of classic and modern Mario moves. I appreciated the world map, which dovetails seamlessly with the new focus on exploration. In every world, it is pretty easy to see which parts of the map are blocked off behind secret exits. There is even an entire world that can be skipped if you don't enter a secret passage as Mini Mario after defeating a boss. There are cannons that are suspiciously unreachable until you realize that the way to enter those spaces is probably through a secret exit from a level right next to it. This encourages replayability, another thing I usually love about 2D Mario games. If anything, playing through certain levels or areas again helps me appreciate the art direction and side characters in this game even more. There is some dual screen functionality here as well, but it is pretty limited. The bottom touchscreen usually displays how far Mario has progressed through a given level. It is also used to drop a health power-up on the screen above. I appreciated that when I slooped down a pipe, the action would then switch to the bottom screen until I went back up the pipe. I guess I'm glad that New Super Mario Bros. Didn't depend too heavily on the bottom screen, as that would have effectively killed the new series branding by tying it to just one console. I've come to love how this game looks, even if 2D Mario in my heart should always be pixelated. I'd say the visual effect that Nintendo achieves here is not as immediately iconic as the sprite work of previous 2D games, but it does get the job done. There is some weird pixel dithering here. I don't even know if that's the right term, but that part always bothered me, but I got over it because everything else looks so great. New Super Mario Bros. Is obviously not nearly as pretty as its sequels that would eventually appear on more powerful consoles, but I was charmed by the character designs themselves. Now look, the music does a lot of the heavy lifting here too. The Bowser theme slaps, and I think the underwater music is particularly good too. And as much as the sequels in the series improved on the visuals, I found myself really enjoying the music in this game more than in future entries. One of the things that is great about the new series is that the music and rhythm feels fully incorporated throughout the game. In a GDC talk from 2007, series composer Koji Kondo discussed how sound could dictate gameplay, a thing that happens in this game. Enemies move to the beat of the soundtrack, even jumping or pausing in rhythm. Once a player has internalized the soundtrack, it becomes simple to predict enemy behavior. This is one of those subconscious things that I'm not sure I even picked up when I first played it, but once you are made aware of it, it becomes one more thing to appreciate about this game's design. The entire package just works really well. I don't mean to sound dismissive or overly surprised, but despite its pedigree, I still wasn't sure this game would feel so good to complete as it does. Particularly the way people talk about the sequels. I know everyone hates New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS. I've never played it, but I still want to find out for myself what that one's all about because of this game. But all those mechanics that make Mario Mario mean nothing without brilliant level design that pushes the player to engage with the world. The level design in New Super Mario Bros. Is solid and incentivizes players to use all the tools available to them. There are the classic side-scrolling standbys, Normie Mushroom Kingdom stuff, and then there's the really strange and unusual levels that feel claustrophobic and puzzle-focused. Mazes where Mario can only go in one direction or has to press a switch to fill a room up with water and swim fast to the exit before the water goes back down. It is easy to forget that Mario games are considered best in class because the designers constantly craft incredible, tight, good-feeling experiences that last just moments before the player moves on to the next level and then does it again. Is every one of the 80 levels in this game a banger? No, but are there still dozens of satisfying hits of dopamine to be found from using the same new simple actions in a few novel ways over the course of 8 worlds? Hell yes. Shoutouts to any level with waterfalls, and also any level with a desert aesthetic. I love all the environments, and for the first full-scale Mario game to attempt this aesthetic, I think they did a fine job. I still wish we could move away from the slow auto-scrolling levels, especially the underwater ones, which do nothing for me, but they do serve a purpose for mixing up the pacing and giving the player something different to experience. I love the Star Coin Collection stuff that has become the norm in the new series and in New Super Mario 3D Land. It feels like a thoughtful way to approach Mario, giving him new objectives and a satisfying yet simple goal to complete. I wouldn't say that collecting every gold coin in every stage is particularly difficult, but it's fun in that it caused me to approach certain situations differently. I learned to clock where a star coin was in the level's layout, and then return to that level with the appropriate power-up, or what have you, to get what I needed. I was reminded a little of when I completed Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury a few years ago. With this new generation of Mario games that basically started with this one, the player never really has to worry about running out of lives or the clock hitting 0. Instead, these games are designed to light up a different part of the brain. I remember hearing once that Miyamoto categorized the original 2D Mario games as athletic games because of the focus on momentum, repetition, and execution. New Mario Bros. Feels like it takes those principles and iterates on them a little. Again, I know that what I'm describing does not sound super revolutionary here, but in the year 2006, this was really novel. Nintendo clearly liked this concept because it has become more of a staple in multiple modern Mario games. Is New Super Mario Bros. Really a whole-ass new concept? Maybe not. But it does prove that Nintendo is still unmatched at creating new ideas around their staple franchises. I feel like people don't really talk about New Super Mario Bros. As being that impactful, but I think history shows that it was. I may have said it earlier, but performing nearly any action in this game feels mechanically satisfying, as is the case with most 2D Mario games. It's all about the reward that you're going to get from completing it. Sometimes completing a Nintendo game is its own reward, and New Super Mario Bros. Follows this tradition. Earning the 3 profile stars is pretty straightforward. Beating the game, a snap. You can crank through all 8 worlds, including all the secret levels, in probably less than 7 to 10 hours. Even accounting for the star coins in every stage, this is a pretty short experience overall. It makes sense. This is a game designed for a handheld console. Bite-sized experiences that can be completed in short bursts were the norm, and something that Nintendo helped popularize since the Game Boy era. Finding every star coin puts another star on your profile, and there's one more completion indicator that says when you've spent all of the star coins, unlocking paths and spending all of the money in the blue toad houses. Now, the blue toad houses let you buy these little lower screen wraps. They're Mario themed from different games or titles. They're really cute, they're really fun. I really enjoy them, but at the end of the day, it's also kind of stupid. New Super Mario Bros. Includes what I thought was a great completion bonus until I realized that it wasn't one at all. After the end credits, the game tells you how to unlock playing as Luigi. Now that made sense to me. These are the credits after beating the game and you get a whole new way to play. Except that you can actually do this from the very beginning if you know the code, and you don't have to beat the game at all. If you want to play as Luigi, you can just hold L plus R when selecting a file at the start, and you're good to go. The knowledge is the bonus, I guess, but the game isn't withholding the ability to do this. Unlike other Mario games, Luigi doesn't play any differently in New Super Mario Bros., which makes playing as him feel very not bonus-like. He has different animations and sound effects. The classic Luigi nervousness and awkwardness is fully intact. Now, completing the minigames is unnecessary for completion, and honestly, sort of felt like a waste of time for me yet again. A good number of these appear in Super Mario 64 DS, so it felt weird to include them again here. Maybe if it were like half the amount or something. At least they are purely optional from a completion perspective. Now, New Super Mario Bros. Also has an additional mode that is locked behind a secret code. After beating the game, you can input a series of buttons to enter challenge mode. In this mode, some block locations are different, and the screen scrolls much differently. However, this almost feels like a debug mode or something, since it is easy to become soft locked. Glitches are common, and there are a bunch of levels that can't even be played through in challenge mode, so I don't really consider it a core component to completion. After you've earned your 3 stars on the profile, that's it as far as rewards go. Overall, completing everything in the game took me about, I want to say 9 to 9.5, maybe 10 hours, and that's me being honestly a little slow. Aside from the mini games, I found New Super Mario Bros. To be a game that I really loved completing with a more critical eye.
I can always respect how Nintendo manages to find new ways of expression even with their flagship characters. Even after so many games, there are still new forms of Mario, even if those new forms look pretty similar to the old ones. New Super Mario Bros. Executes well on those ideas that it brings to the table. Though the multiplayer games aren't exactly my cup of tea, let's be honest, they were designed for kids in a weird way, they exist more as extras than as something that must be completed. This game proves that 2D Mario games can change and evolve and will always be a cornerstone of the gaming landscape. So, with that in mind, guys, I give this game my completionist rating of completed.
Complete it!